How much are you going to have in that book about drugs and so forth?
Not very much.
I hesitate to demean a dead man's name or something. Talk about Sue Sims or myself who's living.
No. This is not a scandal book. What I wanted to talk about was how much drugs were a part of it then. Because when you talk about the rock and roll period,
I think what we did was in spite of drugs. The drugs were in the culture long before they reached the public. The jazz musicians have been the forefront of the language that's used now, the drugs that's used now. The whole attitude of the 80s comes from the 40s. It started to manifest itself in the 60s. I don't know how much I like to think that drugs will be used in the book. I mean, it all depends on how it's treated.
I've had to live with that. Obviously, through Jimi Hendrix dying on me, Janis Joplin dying on me. These are artists I had signed and were very close to them, and lived in that kind of culture, which was a shock to me because I came from very. You cannot do any kind of story or book or anything without saying that it was there. You were a victim. You were really a victim because you went through some personal angst and pain with it more than. But you're alive. Charlie Parker's not alive, and some other people aren't alive. Jimi Hendrix, and you come through it. But that's not the thrust. But I want this to be about the music.
Well, let me tell you what I think is a funny story about drugs on the Woody Herman Band. If I can depend on you when you're treating it in the book, because I mean, the news is something current. I don't think too much should be thought about it, or you'll probably treat it all right. We played at the Holyoke Arena with Woody Herman's band on the afternoon concert, 9 acts of vaudeville, and they had on it a trained bear. And the trained bear came out. Did I ever tell you this story?
Let him tape it so he'll remember.
He is taping.
Oh, thank you.
This is funny.
Yeah.
And this was a big bear. I mean, this guy had to be 9 feet or something, And it was afternoon, Holyoke Arena. If you could see what the Holyoke Arena, theater in the round, if you want to use it. And the bear came out, and the two on each side of Sam Marowitz, the lead alto player, who was very straight-laced, no drugs, no drinking, were Serge, Zoot, Al Cohen, and I, stoned. And the bear was doing his thing with the trainer, coming around, his arm going, and at one point, the bear came around and his arm went over the saxophone section like this, and could have killed 5 guys with one swing. Only Sam Marowitz had to duck, because the rest of us were sitting there reading the music for the bear, and so stoned, we never knew the bear came over us.
It's a picture.
I mean, that's how. And they used to claim that Woody's band were faggots because we were so stoned we didn't even care to go for the women. And there are no faggots on that band. I mean, jazz music is a man's game, let's face it.
Well, Quincy was telling me, he went to see the band. He said, you couldn't believe it, how they could play. He said they were so far gone. But there they were up blowing.
Well, you can do anything with practice. Part of the thing that keeps them going, even the bad ones, and most of them are bad. I'm not talking about the few famous ones. Jazz musicians have this thing of, we don't want to play any old shit, man. It's old shit. Let's get some new shit. They self-indulge themselves into a knot. They don't want to take something and play it because it's been done already. Music can be classic too. Just nice music.
Well, they play Mozart now for 250.
All right, but jazz musicians they overdo their. What do they overdo?
Their purity,
their protest. Jazz music can be it's supposed to be a democratic music. Each man has a say in a good jazz quartet. But they all contribute to the whole. And egos have to be kept to a minimum. It's all they're crying for attention, the jazz musicians. They want something different, like that hate music they had.
I find them the least tolerant of all musicians, of other music.
That's so wrong.
I find them absolutely
very narrow,
intolerant of anything.
It says in here that I only listen, in this article you'll read, that I listen to classical music mostly. I don't listen to jazz music. I mean, there are very few really great jazz records as far as I'm concerned. And I don't have to listen to them anymore because I got them in my bones already. I'll play them for a guest when they come or something to show them the truth. I mean, I listen to jazz music on the radio when I'm driving in the car. It's like a stockbroker listening to the market quotes, just to see what's. But there are very few jazz music records that meet my standards.
Who is there?
It's by the individual record. I mean, the usual Duke, you know.
Sure.
Miles, before he went to the direction he went to.
How about any of the current crop? Herbie Hancock, Stanley, Jordan, Marsalis.
Marsalis is really improving. When I first heard him, he sounded like a pale imitation of 49 Miles. Yeah. And I thought he was getting, getting much too much attention, I thought. I don't know how much of that is jealousy or who knows. But I didn't think he sounded great with the classical stuff. But I thought he was nothing that special. You see, when you get too much publicity and everything, how does that do it there? You listen more critically.
Sure.
But I've heard records since then on the radio as I drive in the car, and that he really sounds promising.
But you've played with some young jazz people, Chick Corea, Gary Burton, and some others like that. What's their level of creative competence?
They're great. They're both great. Great players. Chick Corea was on my band twice. And he's just a great player.
You guys keep playing with these guys? I mean, they're the next generation almost, guarantee.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were saying in a group like a quartet or a sextet, there can be no egos. Everybody has an equal voice. Was that always how it worked when you get together with bands with Oscar Peterson or Roach or Dizzy or Miles?
That's always how it worked.
Yeah.
A musician, one good jazz musician hesitates to tell another good jazz musician what to play. That's his domain. That's his whole expression, is the way he plays. There are times you might want to say, well, listen, what do you think if we try it this way? But mostly, the best part of it is like a democracy of people, like what the theory of democracy stands. Everybody has a say-so, but it has to be a group effort, Everybody gets a vote in a jazz band. And with good musicians, you hardly need to say anything. You just start a tune and let it develop. And you never want to over-rehearse a tune. On a record date, I'll never record a tune more than 2 or 3 times. Usually the first take's the best. It's got to feel fresh in jazz music.
It was different, though, with a band, wasn't it? With a big band, a Goodman or Kenton or somebody else.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're playing arrangements, yeah. And you only had a spot solo on those things anyway.
Yeah. Did you ever have a big band of your own?
I played at the Apollo twice, theater. And the saxophone section was Jerry Mulligan, Zoot Sims, Al Cohen, Lee Konitz, and myself. And the trombones were Johnny Mandel, Kay Winding, and somebody else. And the trumpets were Shorty Rogers, Joe Newman. I mean, everybody in the band. The rhythm section was Al Haig and Roy Haynes or Tiny Khan. It was a great band.
This was your band?
Mm-hmm.
And who did the arrangements?
Tiny Khan.
Wow.
That's on tape. Al Pacino has them. And the show, one of the times, this was in 51, 52, the show was Charlie Parker and strings, Sarah Vaughan, my big band, Errol Garner, and Moke and Poke.
Moke and Poke?
Yeah, Negro comedians.
Oh, yeah.
Very great, funny, low down humor. Yeah.
Were you an abrasive, volatile guy? Is some adjectives been used?
I have my moments at everything, I see injustice and I don't walk away from it. Then again, also, I've had my moments with drugs and alcohol. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I don't do anything anymore. But those things take away. I mean, you have your different personality completely. I mean, when you take those, for those that are really chemically dependent on anything, it's not you. And of course, I've done some dastardly things, but what can I do except to make amends and apologize? And of course, they're exaggerated a lot of times because I'm a known person.
Oh, sure. They're,
yeah.
Because 80 guys break a window, you're going to get nailed for it.
You know, I've made a lot of mistakes. And most of it was induced by my dependency on drugs and alcohol.
Even when you were so much involved with both drugs and alcohol, you played well. Or do you think that it impacted how well you played too?
It impacted what?
I mean, it was a negative for you as a player. You know, you were talking about how you and Zoot and Al could be playing out there and playing.
Well, like I said before, and Charlie Parker's your prime example.
Yes.
You can do anything with practice.
Yeah.
You know, we played well all the time. I'm sure we could have played better if we weren't. But as it was, we did well enough without it.
You enjoy playing in front of people? Concerts, tours?
More and more these days when I'm alcohol-free now and beginning to see the world around me, I appreciate it, but I never truly enjoy too much of me because I feel like I'm a working musician. I'm a working musician. I try to make it good, and I don't believe that it's all hoop-de-doo up there. And there are some joyous moments, but I will not fake a joyous moment. They happen when they happen, and you will see me joyous at that time. Otherwise, my idea is for the whole quartet to sound good and to me to sound good. And hearing myself so much all the time, I don't think I sound that special all the time because it's me. It's like when somebody sees a child grow when he's, you know, the mother and father don't notice how he's growing, but the uncle sees him in 5 years, says, wow, how you've grown. People say my playing is changing, you know, and I don't notice that because you're wrapped up in it. As I say, that day was a good day. You used some of that, will you?
Yes. Oh, without question. You mean with that story?
Yes.
That's in this peninsula. Absolutely. I'm going to look through that, put it together with this, and grab a great Stan Getz in this thing. Has there been over the years any one musician or anybody in the music that you felt very close to that you've talked with, or have you always, are jazz musicians kind of out there on their own most of the time?
Well, when you play a festival, it's about the only time you might get to see another jazz musician, you know, a contemporary, a peer. There are people, it's usually guys that work on my band who you travel with that you can really hang out with.
And talk music with, or don't you talk music?
I think music is in the doing.
Yeah.
We might talk, have you heard so-and-so or something like that. We don't talk about our own music. We don't emote.
Yeah,
we just try to play it.
It's not there.
That's all, you know. It's four guys and you see how their intelligence is. That's all. Because I don't know one good jazz musician that's not intelligent.
And you still, like I saw you with the Diane Shure thing, you still are called on and you can sit in and play on all kinds of dates too. You enjoy doing those things?
Oh, if it's musically right. And you heard what that was going on there. That was very musical.
Beautiful.
Don't forget to take your tape now. You'll hear the finished product there.
I'm walking out of here like I'm coming out of a birthday party.
No, that's a joy to do that, especially when you sit back and you say, I brought that girl here. That girl wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me.
That's right. You brought her from Seattle, didn't you?
No, I heard her in 1979 at the Monterey Jazz Festival. She sat in. She wasn't booked on it. And I was very much thrilled by what she sang. She just did 2 tunes. And then after that, I'd take her with me like to a club or something. and she'd sing, and for 2 or 3 years, nothing much happened until I was called to play at the White House and to bring a young new star. It was a perfect setup. Dizzy and I were called to bring new stars. He brought John Faddis, and I brought her. The next morning, Grusin was on the phone.
Want to make records?
Yeah, signed her to a 5-year deal immediately.
Well, I saw her. I was in Washington.
She has staying power, the girl. She's going to be around a long time.
Good taste in kind of songs, and I think with Bruce, she's in good hands.
Oh, that's why I selected Grusin, because there were others.
Yeah, he cares and he knows, and he is a musician. Do the young musicians come to you for advice?
Sure, I teach at Stanford now.
Okay. On a regular basis?
Sure, I've been hired for 2 years. I'm an artist in residence. I started the jazz department. I get funding for it, I hire for it, and I teach. I have 7 combos, 1 big band.
Wow.
I teach master classes, and yeah. It's my theory, which you'll also read in there, that jazz musicians should teach jazz musicians, not academics. Like that story of Willie Mays. He was in a slump for 20 games, and Horace Stoneham said 80 times as bad about Willie having had a hit. I want you to go to the Mayo Clinic. And on the way back, stop at the Menninger Clinic and take some of those Rorschach things. And he comes back, and Willie's in the warm-up box, and he's saying to himself, shoulder up, halfway down, deep breath, and he gets into the batter's box. He's just about to go to work, and he looks over, and there's Ted Williams. You know, Willie was like the greatest all-around player, and Ted was the greatest hitter, as you know. And he I don't know if this is a true story or not. And he looks over, and Ted says, Willie, just choke up on the bat a little. I say these kids can learn to play like I learned to play without the pitfalls I had to go through. And going on the road, they can learn it right at the university. And my big band will go to Montreux or something when I get it in shape here from here. We're opening a jazz club in Palo Alto, and 4 nights a week it'll be a classroom the kids will play. And it'll be under supervision.
Is it a graduate school or an undergraduate school?
Right now it's just an undergraduate school, but it's going to become like Stanford's computer music department, which is the best in the world.
Is the music school, is there an undergraduate music school of classical and everything else? Because I'm a big contributor to Yale. I give them a lot of money.
Well, if you throw some our way, we can use it. And I'm going to have my whole rhythm section out there.
Is he going to come up here?
Instruments to fit their deformities. And I played with them. It was a nice moment in Jerusalem, in the open air.
Have you spotted some terrific young musicians out of these classes in Stanford? Anybody that you think is...
One so far. He's the son of the chairman of the music department. The chairman of the music department, his name is Al Cohen.
Oh.
And he's a fuddy-duddy. You know what academia is like. And fighting him has been so hard that I've retreated. I just told the professors that got me the job and started the whole thing, like the head of the world's leading sleep researcher, William Dement, Dr. Dement, the head of athletics, Andy Geiger, guy from the art department. I let them deal with him because he is trying to, they hold you back, slow, But now he's beginning to see that we're going to.
And his son is a terrific musician.
And his son is a saxophone player, tenor saxophone player, Stephen Cohen. He's in Israel right now for the summer. He's a good talent.
Do you get tired of being a musician at all? Or are there times when...
The day that I think I've got it down, maybe I will.
Yeah.
Till then, no. It's different every night.
And you say you don't see much, you don't notice the changes in yourself as much as maybe other people notice?
I notice I'm more confident and I play simpler. I edit my playing more. I'm more confident, yeah. I'm starting to believe in myself only because at this point so many people in this world think I'm the cat's pajamas. And they tell me, and they write on the back of album notes and this and that. It's like, I say, gee, all these people couldn't be wrong, couldn't they? I still see myself as a struggling guy trying to play, actually.
I have never seen anything where you've gotten roughed up by critics. I assume there are performances that some people, but I mean, as a musician and reviewing your albums, because I looked through all the jazz books and things, critics haven't really been a problem for you, have they?
No. And that was before Bossa Nova.
Yes.
After the Bossa Nova, some of them tried to tag me as being commercial. I remember Irving Green's wife came up to me at the Academy Awards when I'd walked off with 8 for one record. They say Michael Jackson was the first to get 8, and that's wrong. They don't even say that. I got 8 for Getz Gilberto. Everything, the whole album. And she came up to me screaming. Everybody was around. You turncoat, you went commercial. And here I made this music because I just thought it was lovely, beautiful, simple music. So sometimes a guy will say, be a little snide about it. He went commercial in the 60s to record Bossa Nova. And commercial actually means reaching the largest amount of people, and it can be beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
It depends on what you present,
George Benson doesn't want to ever hear that argument. He says, what do you mean, commercial? What are we, there to make records that don't reach people? He says, non-commercial means nobody wants it.
And other people fell in love with it. Are you having coffee?
No, thanks. Stan, if there was a time, a year or a couple of year period that, up to this point anyhow, that was the best for you, that you felt you really were, it's like a ball player.
Tonight.
Tonight's the night. That's your answer?
Really, I mean, what's over with is over with. I don't go by plaudits. I go by the feeling of being a part of the world. And since I stopped drinking, which is almost a year ago, I'm starting to feel like I'm a member of the world. I never was. I was so fucked up all my life.
You had that problem even after the drug problem 30 years ago?
I had a 10-year heroin habit and kicked that. And then I became an alcoholic. I drank 2/5 a day.
Back then?
Yeah.
And you had up until a year or so?
That's right.
What finally triggered, that's personal?
It's just like they say in Alcoholics Anonymous. I was either and or going insane or was going to die. I was one of those guys who was in constant denial. Look, I work, I do my job, I support my family, boom, I do everything I'm supposed to do. If I want to drink, fuck you, I'll drink, It's my decision. Nobody wants to think he's different than anybody else and he can't drink, Some of us can't drink. We really have a allergy to chemicals. That's what, it's pure and simple. It's a disease. The AMA said so in 49. It's a biophysical, genetic, inherited, partially, emotional disease. It's a disease. And it took me that long. It took me 45 years from the time I was 15 till I was now.
Wow.
And I just wouldn't believe it. I could drink, I'd get up there and play, and I don't remember, most of my records I don't remember making. And this one now I think is my best record. I made it 6 months sober. And can you imagine how I felt, the trepidation to go in there sober? And everybody's saying this is a classic, this record.
Do you have a group now? Is there a quartet now?
Yeah, tonight they'll be there. The same guys are on this record. Kenny Barron, George Mraz, and Victor Lewis.
And do you work very much?
During the school year, I can only do weekends and something, maybe go out, Christmas. In the summer, we're working like crazy all over the place.
Do you play festivals still?
Yeah.
You do that?
Yeah, I do that.
Done some stuff with George over the summer, George Wayne?
Yeah, I did Saratoga for him and Cleveland.
And tonight's going to be the best time for you.
Sure.
I asked Woody, what was the best band? He says, the one we got. The next one is going to be the best band.
Sure, you live in hope, don't you?